In the previous video, we have created a local SFDX project named as Apex Dev Sessions, and then we connected our local SFDX project with our Salesforce org so that we can deploy our metadata or get the metadata from the Salesforce org to our local SFDX project. Now in this video, first we are going to bring our Apex classes from the Salesforce org to our local SFDX project, because our newly created SFDX project is completely empty and it doesn't have any Apex classes or any sort of metadata. You can confirm that by clicking on this file explorer and then expand the force app folder, and here expand the classes folder. So we don't see any Apex classes in our local SFDX project. So we are going to bring the Apex classes that we have created so far in this course to our local SFDX project. The easiest way to do it is to use the org browser here. So just click on this cloud icon here that you will see on this left hand side panel, and here you can see all the metadata of your Salesforce org, and this is going to show the metadata from your current Salesforce org that you have just authorized. And here if you expand the Apex classes, it's going to show all the Apex classes that are there in your Salesforce org. And if you want to bring these Apex classes to your local SFDX project, you can simply click on this retrieve source from org button or this download button. For example, if I want to bring this account controller class to my local project, I'll simply click on this button, and now it's going to retrieve that class from my Salesforce org, and then it's going to put that class in my classes folder here. So now we can see our account controller class right here. So this was the easiest way to retrieve the metadata from your Salesforce org to your local SFDX project. And you can also run these commands in bulk. For example, if you want to bring all the Apex classes to your local SFDX project, you can click on this download button, which is beside the Apex classes folder. And now this is going to bring all the Apex classes to your local SFDX project. If some of these classes already exist in your local project, then you would see a override pop-up here. Since we already have the account controller in our local project, we can either overwrite it or cancel it. For now, let's overwrite it, and now this is going to overwrite our account controller class and also going to bring all the other classes as well. Let's wait for this command to finish. And now we see all our classes from the Salesforce org to our local project, and we can edit any of these class now. So the next step would be to make some changes in these classes locally, and then we are going to deploy these changes back to our Salesforce org. So if you remember how it used to work in developer console, we simply used to create our classes here, and then we used to save those classes, and these changes would be saved directly to our Salesforce org. But this is not the case when you work with VS Code. When you make these changes, first these changes apply locally, and then you need to manually push or deploy these changes to your Salesforce org. For example, I'm going to make some changes in our Hello World class. Let me open the Hello World class here. I'm going to close this so that we get some space here. And let me create one more variable here. I'm going to call it where from VS Code, and let's simply write some text here. So this is a change that we have just made, and we have saved our class. But do you think this change has been pushed to our Salesforce org as well? So let's confirm that. Let's go back to our developer console and open our Hello World class here. Click on open, and we don't see our new variable here because that change that we have just made, it stays locally. It's not there in our Salesforce org yet. So to push this change to our Salesforce org, either you can right click on this file and click on this option called deploy this source to org, and this way we would be able to push our changes to the Salesforce org. Or you can also right click here and click on deploy source to org. The other ways would be to run a command called deploy this source to org from the command palette as well. Now if you go to our developer console and refresh this page and open our Hello World class, we will see our new variable, because now we have deployed our changes to the Salesforce org. So this is how it works. This is how you can make changes to your locally, and then you can push these changes to your Salesforce org. If you want to auto deploy these changes to your Salesforce org, you can enable a setting called auto save these files or auto deploy these files when you save them locally. So click on this gear icon to enable that setting, and here click on the setting option, or you can also open these settings from the preferences and setting here. And here search for a setting called deploy on save. And you will see this setting from Salesforce DX extension, and this is the extension that we have downloaded in our previous video, and you can simply enable this setting. So once you enable this setting, whenever you are going to make a change, for example, let me make some change here. Let me also add autosave here, and when you'll save this file here, it will be auto deployed to your Salesforce org. So now you see the VS Code is automatically deploying this source to our Salesforce org. I'm personally is not a big fan of this feature, so I'm going to uncheck this option because I want to deploy my changes all together when I'm done with my local development. One more difference that you will observe between the VS Code and the developer console is, in the developer console you could see your errors in the code directly here while you are typing your code. But in case of VS Code, when you will push these changes to the Salesforce org, then only you can see the error. So let's say if your code has some errors, so you won't see them directly here while you are typing your code or while you are saving your code. You will notice your error when you will try to deploy these changes to your Salesforce org, because that's only when the Salesforce is going to compile your code and going to look for the problems. So this would be one more difference between the developer console and the VS Code. But VS Code is more powerful tool than the developer console, as it comes with auto completion of your code, and it's easier to search through your complete code base. For example, if you want to find some reference, you can simply use the global file search here, and you can simply look for your references, or you can perform a search here. So it's sort of a IDE or a integrated development environment for your Salesforce org, and you can manage your complete development from one place. If you want to see the in-depth tutorials about Salesforce CLI and VS Code, then I have a course published on Udemy, and it's called A Practical Guide to SFDX and Salesforce CLI, which has in-depth tutorials covering the power of Salesforce CLI and SFDX and how they improve your day-to-day development experience. VS Code would be our primary code editor for the rest of this course, so make sure you download it and install it and set it up to make it work with your Salesforce org. I'll see you all in the next video.